Welcome to Inside the Capitol for TvAbraham. I'm Alicia Powe in Washington. The U.S. Navy's Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group is deployed in the Middle East as U.S.-Iran talks continue, scheduled in Oman. Iran has repeatedly violated past nuclear commitments, enriched uranium beyond civilian levels, and provided weapons and funding to proxy groups, including Hezbollah and the Houthis, and carried out severe repression against its own citizens. We asked lawmakers whether the Iranian regime's commitments can be trusted, how U.S. allies will be defended if military action occurs, and what a Democrat-led Iran policy would look like if Democrats were to win the House in the midterms.
Well, it would be the same policy we saw under Joe Biden, which is appeasement. Under Joe Biden, the Democrats, they flowed over $100 billion to the Ayatollah, and that money was used to murder Americans.
There would be total capitulation, like you saw with Biden. Iran was on its knees at the end of the first Trump administration, and thanks to Joe Biden, the Iranians were wreaking havoc all over the world. And what you would see if Democrats are getting control is probably worse, because every consecutive Democrat administration has gotten crazier than the other. Bill Clinton looks like a normal person today compared to Joe Biden. I can't even imagine if you had somebody like Gavin Newsom running, although maybe Jasmine Crockett and AOC would be the ticket today. But that would be total destruction of Israel, a total capitulation to Iran. It's beyond acceptable. Well, the U.S. Doesn't want to take military action in Iran, but the Ayatollahs need to understand that unlike previous presidents, President Trump does not bluff. Ask Maduro. Have them call Maduro and say, what did you think of that? When President Trump says he's going to do something, he means it. He wants peace, to be clear, and that's also very different than previous presidents. But he's not going to make idle threats, as Maduro saw and as we discussed in a meeting yesterday with President Petro.
Obviously, one of the things we have to do is to negotiate an intrusive, full-scope safeguards regime that is put in place in order to make sure that there is 100% monitoring of the nuclear program inside of Iran. Obviously, President Trump made a huge mistake in pulling out of the Iran nuclear agreement that had been negotiated by the Obama administration. One of the first things Trump did was to pull out of that agreement. And as a result, Iran was no longer constrained in terms of the nuclear program that they had put in place that had, by that point in time, become subject to full-scope safeguards. So Trump made a huge historic mistake. That mistake has to be rectified, and we would move then to put more and more pressure on Trump to use common sense and embrace the International Atomic Energy Agency and the world community in terms of monitoring that program.
Well, I can tell you that we know Iran is the leading state sponsor of terrorism. We also know that they are kind of at their weakest point at this moment in time with uprising. We also know with the recent population uprising demanding their freedom that we hope that we can provide them with internet access, with phone access, access to the outside world so that they can begin to plan for their own future and their own freedom. So we're going to have to see what that looks like. It's a dynamic situation that's changing, and we hope for the best for freedom for the Iranian people.
Alicia Powe in Washington for TvAbraham.